this particular example. What happens here when base 1 class is inherited at derive 1? Okay, all base class properties are inherited here in derive 1. So B1, let us say, stands for base 1. Okay, I'm giving abbreviation for my sake of convenience. So all B1 properties are inherited at derive 1, right? So now derive 1 consists of its own properties and a set of properties coming from base 1. So derive 1 is having base 1 properties plus derive 1. Okay, good. So that's fine. Now when base 1 is inherited at derive 2 is inheriting the properties of base 1. So it means at derive 2 you can find base 1 properties which are coming from this, and then the derived class properties, its own properties, right? Got it? So here at derive 2 we have a set of properties coming from base 1 and its own properties, that is D2. Got it? Now let us try to go to the next level, right? So in the next level at derive 3 we are inheriting derive 1 and we are inheriting derive 2. We are inheriting both. Then what happens? The properties of derive 1 all will be, inherited and made available here at derive 3, and at the same time all the properties of derive 2 as well will be inherited and will be made available here at derive 3. Got it? So now when derive 1 is inherited here at derive 3, I will get all this B1 plus D1, right? B1 plus D1 at derive 3. Got it? This is 3. Okay. And when derive 2 is inherited at derive 3, I will get all its properties been inherited and made available at derive 3. So what all I get here? B1 plus D2. Yes or no? So you can see at derive 3, I will get 2 copies of B1. Yes or no? B1 which is coming from here and B1 which is coming from here, both are same. One copy is coming from derive 1, another copy is coming from derive 2 of the same base 1 class. So there is a possibility that the system may treat these two are different and may lead to some kind of discrepancies, right? So when you have duplicate data, you need to remove that duplicate. Yes or no? Otherwise, it may lead to some discrepancies. Fine. So here at derive 3, I have D1. I have only one copy of D1. That's fine. I have only one copy of D1. That's fine. But I have 2 copies of B1. Okay. But I don't need. I need only one copy. One copy is enough. If I have 2 copies of the same, which may be treated as differently by the system and may lead to some kind of discrepancies while we are executing the same. So I need to remove one of this copy, right? Right. One is enough for me. Base 1 properties which have been here inherited with 2 copies that are coming, one from derive 1 and another coming from derive 2. But I don't need those 2. I need only one single copy. So how to eliminate one of the base 1 copy at derive 3 is by either declaring the base class as a virtual one. Okay, got it? By declaring this base 1 class as a virtual one, or another option is while inheriting these 2 derived classes at the derive 3, you will have to inherit them virtually. Got it? That is said to be virtual inheritance. either with the help of virtual inheritance procedure or by declaring the base class as a virtual, which you know that will take more than one copies to some of the derived classes. Correct. So we have two solutions to eliminate the duplicate copy of base class at derived class. Got it? So you can adopt any one of these solution. I can go with this solution, that is by simply declaring this base one class as a virtual one. That also will suffice me, right? So when the base one class is declared as virtual, then what happens? The system, operating system will take care of eliminating the duplicate copies when are being made available at the derived classes, right? Got it? And second way of eliminating the duplicate copy of the base class at any derived class is while inheriting the classes at the derived class where you have a doubt that you may get a duplicate copy, you inherit them virtually. We'll see both of the solution with the syntax here. Okay. If I go with the first solution, that is virtual base class concept, what I do is, this example here I am trying to define the base one. We have a base one class, right? Base one class. Now, when I am writing the base one class, I say virtual, right? Virtual is a keyword. Virtual, I say space class, space base one, okay? And then I'll define its code. Got it? Then I have the rest anyway. So rest is derive one, derive two, and these two are being inherited directly. I'm just giving this. Okay. So class derive one, colon, I say simply base one. Okay. Then I can define its code here. Then I have derive two, so I derive two as well. I am inheriting base one. So I just simply say this. Then I have a derive three class. So at derive three, I am inheriting both derive one and derive two. I'll be going with a normal type of way of inheriting. When you have multiple classes to be inherited, a single class, separate it with a comma, right? So you can then have its code, right? Got it. See, what is that I have done? Only change I have done in order to eliminate the duplicate copy of the base class to be made available at derive 3 coming from 1 and 2 by declaring the base 1 as virtual. This is the first solution, right? Got it. You can see the solution here. I just mentioned the base class as a virtual one. So while defining the code, I said virtual space class clear space then base one, and it, code will be written inside, right? Then I have derive one class which is inheriting base one, and derive two is also inheriting base two. Then derive three is inheriting both derive one. Now what happens when derive one is inherited? Derive one is getting its own properties. In alliance with it, base one properties are also will be made available. Right, derive one is bringing what? B1 plus D1. And when you are inheriting derive two, what happens? It is bringing its own properties. In alliance with it, it will bring B1 as well. Yes or no? Now, the base 1 class is declared as virtual. So these virtual keywords basically being taken care by the operating system during the execution, right? So while you execute, uh, here operating system will now inspect to see that base 1, which has been mentioned as a virtual, has it made available at any derived class with its 2 copies. It knows it checks it, and it when finds that there are 2 copies of base 1, it eliminate one of them, right? It eliminate one of them and will ensure that only 1 copy will be made available. Okay, so this is how the operating system will take care. You don't have to bother about to eliminate a duplicate copy, and that is all possible by just declaring the base class as a virtual. This is one solution, right? This is solution 1. Okay, got it. And another solution is the virtual inheritance, right? This is the solution 2. Okay, so now in this solution, what is that I'm going to do is base class will be defined, and derive 1 is defined and inheriting base 1. Derive 2 is inheriting base 1. So this is normal way I'll write all the code which is probably required to be associated with particular base and derived classes. But at derived 3 class, when I'm inheriting these 2 classes, I'll be using the virtual keyword that you can see here. Okay, that is said to be the virtual inheritance. So the first one is I have base 1. So I just say base 1, then I will have some code to be written. Then I have derived 1. Okay, is inheriting what? Base 1. Okay, and its code you will be writing here. Of course, there is a visibility mode. That visibility mode, if you don't give, that is private. Otherwise, you have to mention whether it is protected or public. So, right. Then derived 2 is inheriting what? Base 1, right? So after writing this, now when you are inheriting the derived 1 and 2 at derived 3, what do? You use virtual keyword here, right? Virtual, then space. Visibility mode will be anyway there, right? If you don't mention it is private, right? Comma, again you give virtual keyword, space, visibility mode, then you have, sorry, derive 1, derive 2 there, right? Sorry. Okay, so now you can see here when I'm defining the code of derive 3, okay, when I'm defining the code of derive 3, which is inheriting both derive 1 and derive 2, fine. And we know that there is a possibility of this base 1 copy can be duplicated at derive 3 because of being inherited at both derive 1 and derive 2, which has already taken 1 copy of base 1 each. and the same can be here when made available. Base 1 can be duplicated, and which is required to be rather eliminated. So in order to do so, what is that we are doing is, we are, when inheriting derive 1 and derive 2, we are trying to inherit virtually. Okay, so what is that I have given here? Class derive 3 colon. Okay, while inheriting derive 1 and derive 2 and derive 3, I am using virtual keyword. Virtual space visibility mode derive 1 comma virtual space visibility mode space derive 2. Then you can define the code. Now what happens during the execution? Okay, of course derive 1 will get one copy of base 1 here, and derive 2 also will get a copy of base 1 here, but operating system will see that if the base if any of the duplicate properties is made available at derive 3 will be eliminated, because you have given the virtual keyword. When you give the virtual keyword, it is now the responsibility of the operating system to ensure that the duplicate copies to be eliminated, because when you are inheriting derive 1, of course it has brought what? One copy of base 1, right? So b1 plus d1 would have been made available. And when you are inheriting derive 2, it has brought one copy of b1, right? Yes or no? So you can see here b1 is available with a duplicate copy, but then you have inherited both of these classes virtually. So then what happens? The operating system will eliminate one of this copy, okay, and ensure that no duplicate copies will be made available. So that way it takes care of eliminating the duplicate copy. So I hope this is clear to all of you. Virtual inheritance and virtual base class concept, right? Is it okay? Any doubt here? Fine. So I will probably post one example based on this. Okay. In your classroom, you try to implement it. Okay. Either by checking solution 1 or solution 2. I have posted one question in your classroom to implement multi-level inheritance. I hope all of you have received it. Okay, if any issues, you can get back to me. So for the past few classes, we were discussing inheritance. Fine. What is inheritance? Inheritance is inheriting the base class properties at any derived class. In what levels, in what ways we can, inherit. We have seen single level, multi-level, multiple, hierarchical, and hybrid. Okay, in hybrid this kind of example, where we have, multiple types of inheritances are integrated, and there is a possibility of certain classes to be duplicated. To eliminate such kind of thing, we go for virtual inheritance process. Okay. For this particular example, I have suggested two solutions: virtual base class or virtual inheritance. Okay. When you feel that there is any particular base class to be duplicated, fine. When it has been further inherited at different levels, then you can give it as a virtual base class. Okay, then you can define that particular base class as a virtual. This is one solution. Another solution is, as and when you find that at any level while you are inheriting that there is a duplicate copy of certain parent classes can be made available at this derived class, then you can inherit all such classes which are being inherited at that level to be virtual. This is another solution, right? So either of the solution will work to eliminate the duplicate copies of the certain classes which are when being duplicated due to inheritances because of different levels, right? Anyway, So this is all about what the inheritance we have discussed so far, inheritance, and how inheritance is helpful. Basically, the basic advantage of inheritance, as we said, is the reusability concept. Once you code, compile, test, debug the class, okay, you can inherit it wherever you want, and thereby you can access all its properties. Fine. Here, properties in the sense, the data and the function, because the class is a combination of both data and function, right, together as an entity, right? So all that together you can probably access, but within certain scope defined by the scope rules, right? So the scope rules also we have defined how the privileges of the members of the classes can be accessible when they are being inherited at different levels with the help of access specifiers and access visibility mode, right? So access specifiers, we have three types: private, public, and protected. So to restrict the users at different levels from accessing your data, you can probably use this kind of privileges, right? So if you declare the data as private, it will be hidden from the user. Fine. User in the sense, after you make the class, the objects will be made available to the user. So user is able to access your class members with the help of an object. So the person who is given the authority to create the objects and implement that classes is said to be the user here, right? So you want to hide the data from accessing by the user, you can better declare that particular data as private. Okay, so that is the importance of private. So thereby it is achieving you data hiding, one of the important object-oriented programming system feature. Okay. Then you can probably declare it as protected or public. We generally made available for inheritance at different levels. Okay. And another access specifier that you have is the public. So if you declare the data as the functions as public, then what happens? User, I mean the person who creates the object, could be able to access the data. So generally the functions have to be made available for the user, because when the user is able to create an object and wanted to implement certain functionalities of the particular object, when he will be allowed to access those functions, only then he can probably implement and see. So in order to provide that facility to the user, what is that you have to do? You have to declare the functions as public. So it is a usual practice of declaring the functions as public. Okay, fine. So these are the three. Restrict the scope of the base class members from accessing in the derived class. Okay, so by declaring it as private or public or protected, you can probably restrict the privileges of the base class members of the derived class. So the scope rules we have seen when inheriting the base classes at different derived classes, right, with the help of the table. I hope this is all clear for you, and the problem associated with particular inheritance as well we have seen with a typical example, right? So this is the typical example that you find in inheritance, where the duplicate copies of the base class can lead to some kind of discrepancies at derived classes. To eliminate that particular duplicate copies, we have two solutions. One solution is to declare the base class as a virtual. Another solution is to inherit the classes, base classes or derived classes at any derived class where you find that the duplication can be possible by inheriting them virtually. So this is all about inheritance. I hope this is all clear for you, and we have worked out with few examples. We have seen single level inheritance and we have demonstrated it with the help of an example, and we have seen multiple inheritance. In the last class we have demonstrated the multiple inheritance example, and multi-level inheritance I have given you as an assignment. Probably you can work it out. If you have any doubts, you can get back to me. And this is another typical example wherein all type of inheritances are being integrated. Okay, and I told you how to solve this kind of typical example, right? So probably this example, which I publish in the classroom, if you can work out, you'll get the complete idea about the inheritance. So I hope this is all clear for you. If you have any doubts, you can raise your queries here, because our inheritance chapter is closed for today.